Hello, hello.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for
Um,
joining us.
Let me see if 1 second. If I could get this on speaker. Okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Would you like to take a
Yeah.
moment to introduce yourself, sir?
Sure. I'm Denver Nunley, co-founder of EcoFi. We've been working on the project for over a year now, and we should have Kevin joining in a second, and Lawrence, who founded it with
Okay.
Let's see here. 1 second.
Can you hear me all right?
Loud and clear. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
How many more are we waiting on? You saying, Denver?
Just Lawrence and Kevin.
I am here.
I'm not sure how long
Lawrence.
Kevin's going to take. He told me the baby's still getting picked up.
That's fine. We can get rolling.
Yeah, let's start there. So Denver, would you like to just give an overview of EcoFi and what you've been working on?
Okay, cool. Actually, Lawrence, do you want to lead that?
Sure. So, EcoFi, basically, we've been building this for really the inception started about 1.5 years ago, where we realized that, just what was happening with, I just love what was happening. Oops, can you hear me okay? I'm not sure what happened there. We were just looking at what was happening in the DeFi space and the NFT space, and we're just like, this is really an incredible thing. And so we came together, very, very disparate backgrounds, but came together to create this. What started was kind of a there's a lot of noise in the background. What started as a an idea to change the way we imagine financial systems. That's kind of how we started thinking about EcoFi. What if we could come in and just start thinking differently, fix systems, make them better. When Kevin comes on, he can talk a little bit about that. But it was, the idea in this original inception of EcoFi was to create a system where we could come in and potentially fix a financial system and create a way for to roll into a country that was having financial problems with their currency and just the whole thing, and just come in and apply this new way of thinking about economics and economies and the whole using the DeFi process. So that's how EcoFi started. And Kevin, our co-founder, went, and he's one of the creators of my Ether wallet and my crypto. So he's very deep in the space. He's been deep in ETH and the Ethereum space for a long time. And so he went and was like, okay, we're going to write this smart contract. And so our whole staking mechanism that the EcoFi platform is based on is a smart contract that he created. So that's where we start. So that's a little overview of just kind of where EcoFi, the hub, if you will, starts. That everything that's built is built on that kind of core idea. And we have a lot of stuff that we're building on top of that, but that's just kind of a good beginning point.
Awesome. Thanks for the background. I'm guessing that's why you've got your the name of the project is EcoFi, is ecosystem and finance.
Correct. Yeah. And also I think we're like a lot of people, we are keeping an eye on, I think everybody, well, I don't want to say everybody, but I think a lot of people are just concerned about just the general future, the health and wellness of the planet. So it's kind of both thinking about the financial systems, but also just the ecology of things and systems working together and working in a way that's more beneficial to humanity as a whole. I think that's, it's optimistic. I'm not gonna, I don't want to sound too, but we do have, we're thinking big about these things, and that's one of the things that's so great about working with this team.
Awesome. Excellent goals. Could you maybe share a little bit about how you're progressing towards some of the ecology or the ecosystem stuff?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the first ideas, all of these things are kind of beautiful experiments. They're the great thing about crypto in general is that it's giving us all a chance to take action towards, putting your money where your mouth is, essentially, to say, okay, well, yeah, you can talk about this, but let's actually do something. And so part of the creation of, part of these experiments, these iterations are like, how if we add, for example, the NFT to the DeFi space, how does that begin to change the way we interact with the world and interact with economies and interact with the just 3D reality? And that process, that is fascinating. So one of our first iterations was creating, Kevin, in the beginning, Kevin was just like completely against NFTs, because he's like, it's, I'm bleeping my language a little bit. He's like, it's a freaking JPEG. And so we were like, okay, well, what makes a JPEG? What actually creates value? And we started thinking about this, much like the dollar at one point was backed by gold and silver, and it was an instrument of demand. You could walk in and say, here's my note. I want the gold that this note represents. And that was a real thing for a while, obviously till the 70s. And so we were looking at, like, well, what can we do that would have an actual asset tied to value? And let me just step back a little bit and let's go like super big picture and say, on a big picture scale, factually, all the physical world will be sucked into the digital world. Like, that's the arc we are on. We were on an arc where the first iteration, there were different, things were being digitized. Now the world is being tokenized. And we could start to see this and feel it. So our first iteration was, okay, well, can we create a token that is backed by a physical asset? And that is what it's called hype.eco. You can get to everything through ecofi.io. But hype is masterwork. So these are art pieces that we have acquired as a company. We've been buying for almost a year now. And the idea was like, okay, we're going to take these tokens and we're going to back them in a series, like just like a limited edition litho. But they would be these these NFTs. So that each fraction, each iteration, if you will, each piece, of this series has a token representation. And so that was the first iteration of exploring the ecosystem. So we have a physical object, and then essentially these NFT representations of that physical object in a limited edition. And that is obviously where things are going just as a trend. What it actually looks like in its final iteration, who knows yet? But we're definitely on that process. And that process is like super, super exciting. So, and then what's cool about that is we're now participating in that process. We're having active conversations every day. And I think one of my goals personally, just as a founder, was like, how do we create how do we be involved in the conversation? And the way to do that is to start building the platforms that are in the world that we want to be having the conversation in. And that's happening now. That's like literally every day. I'm having conversations with people in crazy disparate realms discussing tokenization and just thinking about how we bring tie the physical world into the blockchain through the use of NFTs. So that in a nutshell is kind of where things are going. The first iteration of that is Hype.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing on that front. Could you highlight how the eco token plays into all this, specifically with the EcoFi system?
Right. So the token itself is like, that's our kind of base. That's our base. I'm going to go back to what I was originally saying about kind of our view about how to potentially fix an economy, like to go into a country and, make it more democratic in a way. So that token idea is what Eco is built on. And so that idea is what, at least to start with, looks like a staking model. So that token is kind of our base foundation of everything. So right now you can go buy Eco on Uniswap or Buybox, and you can immediately take that token and put it into the EcoFi staking mechanism is one way. And obviously we now have a new way with you all, which I'm super excited about. But basically you're taking that token and you're locking it up and then getting value in return without having to touch your principal, which I think is one of the most exciting things about DeFi. And so in our case, like in just the EcoFi ecosystem, you lock that token up and you get Sprout, SPRT. Somebody described it today. They were like, "Oh, do I lock it up for Spirit?" And I'm like, that's kind of cool too. I like that. I like both of those interpretations of SPRT. So you get your Spirit token. So you lock it up and you're generating this asset, which then you can utilize in our ecosystem to buy art of masterworks. So I mentioned to you Hype, but we just soft launched another thing. So Hype is masterworks. Like these are, typically you could think about that as artists who are no longer alive. And Hyperobject is contemporary, up and coming, some actually high level artists who are currently living and creating. And that is more, Hyperobject is more of a way to interact as somebody who wants to invest in fine art of living artists. And these are all incredible artists, and they all follow the same model, which is we have a physical asset. We created a limited edition of these NFTs, and you can acquire them and add them to your art collection, and for especially for younger generations coming up who do not have places to stuff things, having ownership in art, being able to build an art collection and be traveling and be able to show it from your wallet, like, this is something that I own and I can build. And you can do that by using the ecosystem, where you can just lock up your eco, and then you're getting Sprout, and you can use Sprout to start your art collection, whether it's masterworks or art from art from contemporary up and coming artists. So it's really kind of stunning, actually, the way this is all working, and it is working, which is even more cool. Like, this is happening right now as we speak.
Thanks for the explanation of Eco as well as Sprout. So I just want to draw attention to the audience to a couple of things. In the radio hotline, we have the POAP badge claim form. If you put your details in there, you'll be able to claim the POAP. And I'm just going to add that now to, in the Alchemy chat, we have the EcoFi AMA text questions. So if anybody's got any questions they'd like asked and don't feel like coming up on stage, they can drop a text response in there. We do have one question additional that's been asked by Stu. Will Sprout be on any exchanges or solely the NFT platform?
Yeah, I would. We're not going to create a marketplace for Sprout. I would imagine there will be organic marketplaces that emerge, but as of right now, we really want that proof of work, like that let's say proof of staking, actually, that you're willing to do something towards earning the right to buy into these collections. And I just think it's an important part of the model. I just think it's, I appreciate effort towards acquiring, and that's kind of the idea there. So as of right now, no to of course anybody can start a market, but I just don't think that's Sprout shouldn't. I mean, as of right now, conceptually, I just don't expect it to happen that way, because it does have an intrinsic value, and we burn Sprout, so it becomes more precious. It's like that's part of the model. I don't know if Kevin's here yet, and maybe Denver could step in on that and just kind of explain a little bit of that. But one of the innovations is just that I forgot the exact word. It's like I think it's infinite scarcity is how we're describing it. So that Sprout is being created, but it's also being burned.
Yeah, so Sprout is inflationary and deflationary at the same time, in the sense that it's not an APY. There's a 200% live generation rate when you stake Eco to earn Sprout. And after 90 days, it compounds every second, leading to an additional 100% generation rate every 10 years. So you start out with 200. After 90 days, it starts compounding every second to lead to 300% within 10 years, 400%, 20, et cetera, et cetera. And 50% of the Sprout is burnt every time a transaction is made. We haven't implemented this yet because it's written into the contract, but we haven't implemented it yet because there's just not enough sprout on market at the moment.
Just seeing if there's any additional questions in the chat just quickly there. I guess I have one.
Sure.
So telling us a little bit more about hype and hyperobject. You were saying it's a way of taking physical existing art and putting it into the system. Could you explain that a little bit closer?
Sure.
You want to go ahead, Lawrence?
Yeah, sure. So, like, think of it like this. I'll talk about hyperobject right now because I think that's the most visceral explanation. That's the most visceral example.
And mention the fractionalized aspect of it. We haven't covered that.
Sure. So hyperobject is think of it like a joint venture with an artist collective, one of the largest, most prestigious artist collectives called Forecast in Los Angeles. And Farida Amar is the curator of that. And what Farida has done is created an environment for contemporary artists to explore their creativity without a monetary or creative ceiling that often happens when you're a professional artist. So my background, just to give you quick, I didn't really give any background on what I'm up to. My background is art. I grew up in an artist housing in New York City, so I've been around art since I was a tiny human, and that's been all of my life. And then I did a professional career as a director and a filmmaker, and I directed 11 movies and literally thousands of other projects. And that process taught me a lot of things about just teams and workforces and all of that stuff. And I know how to work with teams and people and, super, super creative people who need some kind of constraint, but not financial constraint, and not some like executive sitting over them going like, oh, well, we don't like the color of this, or that's not what I was envisioning. And, and that's a lot of, by the way, that was a lot of my career. Directing is, somebody over the shoulder asking why you're doing what you're doing. So, Forecast Journal and Farida, she was like, hey, competent artists, but maybe you're in film and you want to get into sculpture, or maybe you're in some other thing, pottery, but you want to shoot photographs and you want to learn and also discover art. So being that Forecast was always three-dimensional analog world, that never occurred to Farida to say like, oh, okay, well, let me explore these NFTs, because it also wasn't a thing. But I have written for Forecast. I've been an artist who has been empowered by Forecast to create. And I was like, this, I think, is the perfect marriage. So that's how we started thinking about how to bring assets to an actual asset. So an artist creates. Then Hyperobject curates. Farida will curate and say, okay, these are the pieces that are part of this series. And those pieces are chosen and then created. So one physical representation, it will have a barcode in it. It will be a one of a kind. And that is the original. And it is a tangible, physical, framed asset. And it's typically, right now they're prints, they're actual pieces of physical art that have been created, photographs, negatives. It's it's real stuff. And then that is formatted and essentially created in like a museum quality way. And then we take that piece and we create the NFT from that. And that series, that limited edition, is what Hyperobject is all about. So you can go there right now, and you can now. There is one other beautiful thing about this ecosystem that I have yet to mention. So if you were to acquire all in this series of the limited edition, and we're doing everything from, I think it's like basically there's some one of ones, but there's also I think as many as 1,000. Denver could actually probably answer that better, but I forgot what all of our things are. But basically, we're determining it's just an equation. But that
yeah. Let me just jump in real quick right there just to clarify. But yeah, so depending on the price of the piece, we want to make it accessible for everyone. So if it's very expensive, we'll mint 1,000 NFTs per. If it's not, we'll mint 100, and each one representing the totality of that piece, that sculpture, whatever. So if the sculpture costs X amount and we mint 100 NFTs per, each NFT will represent 1% ownership in that piece. And if you collect the entire set or just buy the entire set outright and wish to receive the physical item, we will send it to you.
Yeah, so just to clarify that, that is really kind of one of the coolest ideas that we have going on the platform. Like, I think it's really an exceptional thing. So just to clarify, if you do acquire, if somebody does the work to acquire, let's say 100 of 100, we will send them the original. And that is for Hyperobject and for Hype. So it is within the realm of possibility that somebody could actually get a masterwork, or certainly a beautiful piece from Hyperobject, signed COA, like really well, museum quality presentation. Like if you acquired all of the pieces in the series, we would send you the piece. And I just love that. Like, I love that it is possible for somebody to do that. And that's, just I think one of the like really special things about what we're doing. And then additionally, we're acquiring a gallery right now. So there will be a way, if you are an owner of one of our NFTs, you'll have access to be able to come visit the physical gallery. You will have, we're not sure how all of this is going to work, but there will be special things for people who are involved in the system where you could come and see the physical art, and or we'll set it up so that you'll be able to view it at any time online. And then we're also working with one of our partners to create a metaverse, and you'll be able to visit the virtual gallery. So there is honestly so much going on. It is mind-boggling. The one thing that that has been in very short supply is sleep.
Yeah, life. It's a lot of time building, isn't it?
Yeah. It's literally been, I'm not even joking, it's been like basically a year of head down, running as fast as we can, and occasionally running into brick walls, getting knocked on our butts, and then getting up, dusting off, and being like, okay, keep going. And that's kind of where we're at. And it's appropriate because this space is moving exceptionally fast. And it's part of what I love about crypto. I've been in crypto since 2011, so I know what this ride is, and I love it. And I love working with our team. Is just second to none. Like, everybody just so high level and competent and capable, and just really, it's really great because it takes everything to build something like this, especially from scratch. And it's an endeavor. It is truly an endeavor, but I every day is just an exciting day. Every day is like, what is going to happen today? What exciting, awesome thing, what conversation, what, like, even this today, like, it's amazing. I'm going on maybe 2 hours of sleep last night, and just so looking forward to jumping on, because our teams, we have teams all, we have people working remotely all over the world, from marketing to building. And, it's just a 24-hour thing, but it's part of what's fun. You can, well, I don't know. I'm sure I will collapse at some point. I'll need a night of sleep, a full night of sleep somewhere in there.
Demeter, were you chiming in there?
Excuse me?
Oh, you unmuted. Did you have something to chime in with there?
Oh, no. I was just listening. I got quiet, so I unmuted. I'm walking around New York City right now.
Gotcha. Another community question asked by Casper Magic. Do you plan to work with other people than Hyperobject and Hype, galleries or curators?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. We have such a cool, I really can't talk about many things yet, but lots and lots of discussions. And I don't know how much of your community has followed this, but we locked up about 50 million in team token value in these Revest contracts. That is one of our partnerships that's just been incredible. And if you don't know about Revest, it's definitely something you want to do some research on. I mean, it's an incredible project. We're building a platform so that the Revest token, which is an NFT, which is a financial instrument, these things are incredible. They don't even realize like how incredible these things are. It's really just a revolution in the smart contract. And I can't explain, and obviously this isn't it isn't about that, but these are one of the partnerships. I'm just explaining the breadth of the kinds of things we're involved in. So the FNFT is going to be a revolution for institutional money and for I mean, there's so many use cases for this thing. So we're building the interface platform. Again, everything running. Think of it, the bottom of the pyramid is the ecosystem, the eco token. To enter the art world, you're going to do that from staking and getting Sprout, and then you can move into secondary marketplaces. But the kinds of relationships that are building, because the platform is really about being flexible and quick responding as needs arise and opportunities arise. And the Revest token, which again is not art. This is a financial instrument that sits on the ecosystem and gives you a way to do, for example, let's say you didn't trust yourself to not sell your ether or your eco, and because like you want, like, sometimes we get that way, we get anxiety, and we're just like, oh, I need to, I'm and people panic and all of that. Well, you could take a Revest token and on the EcoFi platform, you could lock up ETH with a time lock and or a number lock, and say, okay, well, I'm not going to sell ETH until it hits 20,000, and you just lock that thing up in that token, and you won't be able to touch it until that condition is met. Like, that kind of thing is incredible. So, and that, again, that sits on that has nothing to do with art. This is a financial instrument that sits on the Eco platform. And that was the purpose. It's really a utility ecosystem that we, as of right now, I mean, I think it's quite infinite to create on. I think the biggest challenge we have right now is there are so many opportunities coming down the pipeline, and we just have to kind of pick and choose accordingly. But people are talking about bringing museum collections potentially online, private collections. I mean, there's so many cool use cases coming down the road. So Eco is built to be more like it's built in such a way that we are like the body of the Swiss Army knife, and then you can pull out the scissor if you need it, or the knife, or the little sawtooth, or whatever. But the body itself is really where the if that's built right, then all these other things can happen and function quite flawlessly.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's really incredible, honestly. And nobody knows about us yet, which is kind of even more awesome. Like, we've been doing most of this is just so under the radar. Like, a couple people know, but our community is still so tiny, which is cool, because this gives us a chance to really work out bugs and kinks without massive amounts of stress on the system. And we'll get this. I mean, this thing is already spinning like a top, but it just keeps getting better and better every day.
Excellent. Could you explain the staking that you've got going? One, the Crucible, and two, how that interacts with your ecosystem.
Yeah, that I'm gonna hand off to Denver.
Regarding the staking on Crucible.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we just wanted an opportunity for people to earn more Sprout and different options, really, and get a chance to work with Alchemist, and yeah, not much more to it than that. I think right now they're earning more Sprout than if they did on our website.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, and I personally, I'm just a fan of the Alchemist team. I think it's just such a great team, and we want to continue to align with phenomenal teams that have vision for the future. Because I just think that's everything. If you have the right teams and you're working together to create cool stuff and just keep building amazing stuff that adds value to the space, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to work with Alchemist, because I just think it's so important. I think it's important to align with great teams.
I think Kevin just hopped on too. I believe he raised his hand.
Oh, awesome! Let me grab Kevin. Is that random user?
Yep,
that's him.
Cool. Just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, make sure it's not just a random user.
It's
There's always one.
It's me. Although I don't know what
Welcome, Kevin. This is our other co-founder. This may be the first time we have ever been on an AMA all together at the same time on voice. So that itself is kind of awesome.
So if anyone has any questions for Kevin, who just hopped on, any more technical questions,
You were saying that Denver, there's some more questions for Kevin.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Now we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my audio settings are messing around. Sorry about that. I've been sitting listening to you guys talk for the past 10 minutes. How's it going, everybody?
Going well.
Nice to meet you, Kevin.
You too.
So Denver, you had some direction there that you think Kevin might have more on the technical side for us.
Oh yeah. Let's see, Kevin. I don't know how long you've been listening or what you've heard, but I guess if there's anything you want to say regarding just the ecosystem and how it all ties together and maybe the future of it, right? We've been talking a lot about art and paintings and contemporary and things like that. If you have anything to chime in regarding the future, I know you like to you had your eye on music and things like that, or any place you see it going. Since you're hopping in late here, maybe just take us to the future. I don't think we can hear you, Kevin.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, he's coming through. It's just background.
So I can hear. I mean, I'm getting silence for whatever Denver was just saying.
I was just saying, if you have anything to chime in regarding your personal, your vision for the future, or I know music or anything like that. You're muted now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with his connection, but I can share a little bit about that. I mean, Kevin has an extensive background. First of all, just been a complete badass, but also has a music background, an incredible music background, and we've been also looking at how music can interact on the platform. Obviously, we're seeing some of that happening right now. I was in conversation yesterday. I didn't even get to tell the team about this, but I literally cannot share anything about this, but I will tell you it is related to some classic music. If we got this, it would just be unbelievable. But we are in some pretty serious discussions on that level as well, because again, I think we saw the digitization of reality. We are now starting to shift into the period of tokenization, and that world is just wide open. So that's going to, you're going to see a resurgence in music as well as art and any number of things. I mean, I'm hoping we can sell a house on our platform at some point, or cars or whatever. I mean, literally, it's endless. If Kevin's sound, if he is able to reconnect, I think also what would be really interesting is just him being able to share a little bit about kind of fixing economies, which is what the smart contract that he built is really concerned with. And I think it's really incredible, and I would love to have him share a little bit about that, because that, I think, is just one of the things that makes our platform incredible.
Man,
so
can
what
you
he's
guys
saying
hear me
is,
now?
we can hear you. Yeah, can you hear us? Yeah. So
every time I talk, it seems to mute everybody.
Yeah, what he's saying is when he unmutes himself, he can't hear anyone else. So I don't know. Maybe if you want to just start talking and then not hear anybody, Kevin, we'll just listen. Yeah, I'm not sure. So we could probably just move on from that.
It's okay. Thanks for trying. Yeah, Kevin, if you've got nothing to add, or rather can't add anything with the connection, is there anything else you guys wanted to cover?
I think I'm good on my end.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's a good overview. I think it's kind of a perfect starting place if to do your own, to jump in and do your own research. There's a lot going on. I'm excited about all of our partnerships coming up, and just good stuff. So you can tell we love this space, and we're super excited to to be part of it and to be creating in it and have a say in the future of it. And we're really happy to have partnerships like Alchemist, like co ventures where we can work with incredible teams to just keep creating great stuff. Like, I think that basically sums it up. We could go into more detail, but I feel like that really is where it's at. And at this point, it's it's probably good for people to just jump in and explore and try stuff and see what's happening, and stay in touch with the ecosystem, because it is growing and things are we're building, and we will continue to build. We are relentlessly building, which is part of the fun.
Yeah, collaboration is the spirit of DeFi.
Yeah, it is, truly.
We do have a bit of time left. Would you guys be happy to take some community questions if anyone wanted to come up on stage?
Absolutely.
Awesome. If there's not been many questions in the chat, but if anyone did feel like coming up and asking a question, feel free to raise your hand now, and we can have you up here. Not betting on fiat. Would you like to come up?
Not betting on fiat. Good name.
Thank you. I have a question, and that's regarding acquiring the actual number of NFTs. I see a lot of potential in the prospect of getting NFTs or part of real life art pieces. But for somebody to acquire all of them, isn't there a problem when just maybe one of the 100 simply can put a price on the NFT that is so high that it might be the same as the 99 he paid before? Or, this is my question.
Right,
Or,
for
or
sure. I mean, I think it's a good question. I mean, we do think about that. I don't necessarily have a good answer for that. I mean, somebody could kind of just do that move and just be like, no, I'm not selling it to you no matter what. I mean, unfortunately, there will be those edge cases. I think what we've seen more of is people kind of working together, which is interesting. And some of these pieces are available. I know some folks they're just like, they've been acquiring Sprout for a while. They've been staking for a while, so they have a good stock. And then if something comes up that they see that they really, really want, they can just jump in and just get all 100 of the pieces. And
yeah, we've had countless of people purchase the entire sets, and we've yet to have anyone try to buy one and kind of hold it hostage. But what we've seen is most people, the way we set it is each Sprout is worth $5, right? So the totality of the piece, let's say there's 10 pieces and they're 10 Sprout per piece, that piece would be worth $100. And most people, even if they acquire the entire set, they have not chosen to receive the piece and they'll actually just resell it. And we have some of our members are averaging $22 per Sprout, reselling it on the market. So getting in with the Sprout initially is going to be the cheapest way to acquire these pieces.
Yes, and then a second question, because I see the items listed not only in the Sprout token, but also ETH or others.
Right.
Say there were 100. Are they always going to be guaranteed to be or paid in one token, or does it even differentiate between the 100 tokens, and can somebody just ask ETH instead of Sprout, for example?
Right. So the way it works is we call it the NFTs are generated with Sprout. So all NFTs on our platforms are initially sold for on the Hype platform are sold for Sprout, and you need Sprout to we'll mint the NFT as a company, but to generate it and to make it live, you need Sprout for that. So it'll always be initially sold with Sprout, and then users can just buy it and then resell it for either of the three currencies. So typically you'll see people buy it for Sprout, list it for more Sprout, or for ETH or Eco, or any variation of that.
All right. Well, this is my questions for the moment, and I've been looking into the project, and I find the concept very cool. Yeah. However, it's too bad. Main writer of the contract, because I would like to know just a bit more about how it would work in the sense.
What I could do is just if I have to hold the phone up to my ear, but if there's a way to get it on speaker, I could just call Kevin and kind of push him in through there. Does anyone know how to? I can't figure out how to get it through the speaker on my phone. If there's a way to do that.
Sorry, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can help you on that. It's clear, but I think it's also food for thought, because if I buy one NFT in Sprout and then just put a high price on it in ETH, I essentially kidnap a painting, or not.
Go. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on a second.
I think he might be trying to loop Kevin in another way. But yeah, again, I mean, I think, to your point, I mean, I think certainly that is a way, that would be a way, and we will ultimately have to figure these things out. We have some thoughts about contingencies on these things, if somebody's just being like a complete, like, just.
Okay, so I got Kevin here on the line. He wants to answer that question. Here you go, Kevin.
Great.
Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. My devices are all apparently messed up right now. But like we're building a free market. We're building an economy. If there's 100 shares or something, generally the 99 shares will determine the price of all of them. But if there's one person who wants to be a dick and charge an exorbitant amount of money for their share, that's their prerogative. It's a free market. We are not the U.S. government. We are not trying to control.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you. And I will take a deeper dive into this, because I do see some sort of hiccup, and there's always one asshole.
It really depends, because the asshole has to have the money at the time to buy the original thing. So yes, there's always an asshole. But are you saying that like out of 100 people, that 99 of them are assholes? Are you saying that like every once in a while you have an asshole that's trying to do this to the market? Because a majority of the time, and this is why markets work, is I want to buy something, so I go buy it at market value, and somebody is out there selling it for market value. It's sort of like if you go look at the ETH charts or the Bitcoin charts right now. There are people that have Bitcoin sales on market for like $100,000, $200,000. Bitcoin's not selling for that right now, so they're not making that money. But do you think of them as an asshole for doing that, or you think of them as like holding their asset until it's valuable enough that they want to sell it?
Right. Clear. It's just it might be an obstacle in acquiring, especially one of the bigger art pieces.
It is absolutely possible. But I mean, especially with the bigger ones, we're talking about like 10,000 shares of something. this is like a company. Like it's sort of like if Elon Musk wanted to buy all of Tesla's shares, he can't. I don't know. It's like it's a hazard when you fractionalize anything and like shares of companies, all that. Like if I want to own 100% of my company, I own 33% of it. I would have to figure out how much the other two guys want me to buy them out of it. And I don't know that I can afford, depending on whatever they want, because the thing is, it's their property. It's not mine, and it's not the government's. Nobody gets to decide what that costs except for you. So you're right in the sense of like people could be obnoxious and do this and hold fractions hostage. What we've seen is that it doesn't happen. Is it possible? Absolutely. But I would say 9 times out of 10 that is not the case.
Yeah, just to be clear, I'm not faulting the value in the sense of storing value into pieces or partial ownership of real art. That's not what I'm complaining about. I'm just complaining or saying there might be a problem in the actual end game in getting the true art piece, especially if there's a really big supply of tokens representing them or NFTs.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's absolutely true. So that the answer to that is that you need to be able to afford the entire piece when you want to buy it and it's released. That's kind of unfortunately that's the model. So at some point we'll have one of one art pieces listed. We're gonna do. We have a DAO that's going to be implemented down the line, and if you have like basically, we'll probably implement this thing that if we have 99% shareholders, or like probably more than like 3/4 shareholders want to sell a piece, and 25% of them don't. Basically, there's a vote majority rules, and if the majority of the share owners of your piece want to sell it and make money off of it, then they can do that, and then you will get your money for it. You have no option whether it's sold or not because it's a community piece.
All right, and then just one final question, and that's sort of about the onboarding of potential new artists or how does this work for the well non-deceased artists of course.
It depends on how you want to do it. So basically, there's going to be 2 options of how you can basically run a gallery on our site. And you can either go onto Hype and you can list your art on Hype as fractions on our marketplace, or you can use this template we're going to make. It's kind of like a plug and play template. There will be a little bit of coding skill necessary. But you'll be able to like reskin a marketplace and have your own gallery. So like if say Picasso wanted his own gallery, he didn't want his art on Hype, he could basically be like, I want to start a Picasso gallery, fork our code, post it, and then as long as we check and the code's all good, we'll pull it onto the platform and you can sell your NFTs on your own marketplace.
Okay, so and then in the end, like virtually anything can be, or do you have like a subject has to be art, or can it also be the?
Oh no, art was the first thing we're doing because we had a really good access to a curator for a lot of museums. But the reality is, my idea behind like when we were doing this, like everyone had a different idea of what they wanted to do as the property that we were attaching these things to. I wanted to do real estate. You could do literally anything. This could be your sunglasses, used boxers, a house, a car, really anything. And like that's how we set up the marketplace. It's an economy, and you should be able to sell anything you want on it. As long as someone wants to buy it, you can make money.
All right, and then of course, you first have to make sure that because if you want to buy them all, you do have to know that they're all still available. Say if I want to buy a house and my neighbor wants to buy the same house and he buys 10% of it, and then I'm stuck.
I would expect for like things like that, like to be listed as one of one NFTs, not fractionalized.
Exactly.
So like I would assume that a house being sold, unless it is sold with a contract regarding like investment, that if you were trying to buy a house in crypto, that you would pay the crypto and it would give you one NFT that represents the base of the deed of your house. I don't think that anyone would be trying to like put 1,000 people in on a house and then it's like who the hell lives in the house. There would definitely need to be like contracts. This is why real estate is a really hard one. But say like I have a pair of shoes that I want to sell. It's like I just list them for. I have an NFT on the site. You buy it, and I send you the shoes too.
Okay, yeah, it's very clear, and I love the concept of owning well, pieces even of really famous art, as well as being able to make the transfer into the real world objects. Thank you all for your answers.
Beautiful. All right.
Were there any other questions from the community? Otherwise, I think we might wrap it up there, guys. You've been excellent. You've given us a really thorough overview of your project and your goals and ambitions. It's exciting to hear where your thinking's at.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, we could leave it there then. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, sorry for my device troubles. 4 different devices, not at the want to connect.
Thank you for doing the workaround, Kevin. We appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for being patient.
Thanks for coming, guys, and thanks for everyone listening. Just remember, there's the EcoFi Alchemist POAP link in the radio hotline and the Alchemy channel thread there. If anyone wants to grab that, they still can. Thanks for coming, guys. Have a good day.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for having us. Talk soon.
Thank you.